How's it going, everybody? It's Stas here. So the stock market did very well today. S&P 500 up $24, up 0.8%. The Dow Jones up $177, up 0.7%. And the NASDAQ doing what the NASDAQ does best. Tech stocks crushed it yet again, up $142, up 1.36% today. And in this video, we're going to be talking more about the markets, breaking down some technicals, going over what could potentially happen here over the next couple of trading days. And I also want to break down 7 stocks in particular that I'm looking to buy as we're getting deeper into the month of July. And as always, I'm going to be sharing with you guys what I've been doing as of late in the month of July when it comes to my portfolios in the stock market. So if you guys find value in this video, as always, hit that like button for me, consider subscribing to the channel, and check out all the free links down below in the description box if you want to be further connected with the Strive Smart community. We have a Discord chat and a Facebook group, and if you want 2 free stocks from Webull, one of them valued up to $1,400, all you have to do is deposit $100 into the account and you get your 2 free stocks. And again, all of those are linked right down below in the description box. So let's start off today's video with the S&P 500, and right off the bat, the bulls won the day, and let me explain why. You can see we ended up holding a definitive level today that was where we ended up closing yesterday as a support. And this is a very critical level because it was actually roughly a resistance back on the 2nd of July. And it was actually a resistance a couple of weeks before that as well, and we'll get into that in a second. So that level is 31.45 to about 31.50. Again, this was a resistance back on the 2nd of July. You guys can see we hit 31.50, and in power hour on the 2nd of July, we tanked after that. And notice how we were actually holding it as a support yesterday, or was that yesterday? Yeah, that was yesterday. And once we broke it as a support, it became a resistance again. And all day today, we held, again, right at 31.45 to about 31.50 as a support. We held it once, twice, 3-4 times throughout the day today, and we ended up rallying. We broke 31.60, big resistance, and we also broke 31.65, another big resistance, and we ended up closing right on top of that as a new support under another big resistance, which we'll get into here in a couple of minutes. If we break this at 31.75, this would be very bullish. But let's go back to that 31.50 level on another reason why it's a big level of resistance. Notice how a couple weeks ago, back in the middle of June, back on June 15th, we got rejected at 31.50. A couple days after that, we got rejected there again. Again, after that, a couple of days, it got rejected again. So needless to say, the fact that we held 31.50 today, we rallied up, almost broke 31.75, that is a very good sign here for the bulls. But again, the bulls are not fully in the clear yet for that rally up to 32.20 because the bulls are still caught, and the markets in general, the bears too, they're caught in between 31.50 and 31.75. The S&P at least is in this 20-point range right now. So which direction are we picking? Do we break 31.75 and ultimately 31.85 tomorrow and heading on to the rest of this week, which would be very bullish, very good for the bulls? Or do we come back, break 31.65, 31.55, and start to test 31.20, which would not be so good for the bulls? That would be better for the bears. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, some key levels right now on the S&P 500. And when it comes down to the Dow Jones, guys, again, up $180 today, up 0.7%. We can see, pulling on this 4-hour chart and zooming in a bit, we're in a pretty definitive range. We talked about this yesterday as well, between 25,800 and around 26,400. So not much much has changed in terms of the technicals compared to yesterday's video, and quite honestly the video before that as well, because we're still in this range. So overall, the bulls are still intact. I guess they're more in control right now than the bears, because the bulls held 25-1, double bottom there. Bulls broke out of 25-8. Now we're just waiting to see, okay, do the bulls take us out of 26-4, which would bring us up to 27,000, which is the next major resistance, or do the bears take over at 26-2? We end up dumping, breaking 25-8, and going back down to test 25,000. So these are a couple of different cases I'm thinking about and keeping my eyes on over the next couple of days on the Dow. We just really need to see what direction we're going to pick when it comes to this range. Very similar to the S&P 500. And when we're looking at the NASDAQ, guys, it's completely different, because the NASDAQ, it's really not trading in a range, because it's just been high up and about, right? It's just been going up and up and up. It's not tight in this range like the S&P and the Dow are. Quite honestly, we're at all-time highs on the NASDAQ. Did we hit all-time highs today? No, we almost did. But yesterday, we hit $10,704.93, which is an all-time high on the NASDAQ. So at this point, again, up 1.3% today on the NASDAQ, I am not jumping the gun on this one. I'm not buying call options on, let's say, some leveraged ETFs that go up when the NASDAQ goes up. I'm not trading anything that's going to short the NASDAQ either, due to how hot the tech stocks are and will probably continue to be. So I'm just watching it. But if I were to guess, if I were to pick a point where this thing could cool off to, I'm picking between 10,200, 10,100 to 10,300, which is pretty much what I've been saying on these videos, at least the past couple. So I'm sticking to that target. That should be right around the 50 SMA. And guys, take a look. Every time the NASDAQ has gotten overextended, overheated, especially in this rally ever since March, it's come back and it's pulled down to that 50 SMA on this 4-hour chart. So who's to say it can't do it again, right? And like I said yesterday, tech stocks really performed exactly like we thought they were, because we all know tech stocks are being viewed as a flight to safety, especially Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Netflix, and even Facebook too, honestly. So we saw the pull downs yesterday in tech stocks, but again, like we talked about yesterday and kind of how I was feeling, I had a feeling this was going to happen. The pull down did not last long. You can see Amazon, it pulled down from 3060 down to about 3,000, and today it popped 100 points from that pull down, made an all-time high. Apple up $8 today. Ended up pulling down a little bit yesterday to 873, rallied up, hit an all-time high, 382 today. Facebook ended up hitting an all-time high, not today, yesterday, but still pretty much at all-time highs as well. Same exact thing with Microsoft, pretty much at all-time highs, and Google as well. So these stocks, guys, are holding up the market. No doubt about it. Without the FANG stocks plus Microsoft, and especially if they tanked, this market is going to get obliterated. But at this point, it's holding up the market. The market is very strong and green, or it's not really strong, I guess you can say, guys, because at the end of the day, it's a Fed-backed market, but you guys know what I mean. It looks strong. It's pushing high day after day, so until we see a definitive, massive pull down to be like, okay, now we might start going into another sell-off, it's probably going to remain that way. So let me know down below in the comments, what are your thoughts on the market? Those are just some thoughts, and we're watching a lot of things at this point. We're watching the Fed. We're watching, how they're using their tools. We're watching, of course, interest rates, although we don't expect them to go negative. They're probably going to remain at zero, but nobody knows at this point. They might go negative. We're watching the cases, of course, of the CV, especially in these states that have recently started reshutting down some of the open locations, whether it's restaurant, bars, etc. So there's a lot of moving parts, and on top of that, we have Q2 earnings coming up for many businesses, a lot of the big businesses here in the next couple of weeks. So it's going to be a pretty fun time period. I mean, take a look. Google's reporting earnings towards the end of this month. So in 2-3 weeks, a lot of companies are going to be reporting, and remember, Q2 is the quarter that was affected the most by these shutdowns, by the initial quarantine. So it's going to be interesting to see guidelines, or rather guidance, although many companies won't give guidance, and to see the ones that do give guidance, what they give, and in terms of how they did in terms of EPS, revenue, and so forth. So let me know your thoughts on everything right now down below in the comments, and let's get into what I personally did today. So for me, I picked up some Upwork, Upwork, UP, what's the ticker symbol, guys? It's slipping my head right now. UPWK. This is Upwork. And this is one that we've been talking about. It's kind of been a low-key type of stock. It's kind of been under the radar. But ever since it's broken 1420, big resistance from back in the middle of May, it kind of opened up, or I opened up my eyes to it, right? It popped the antennas up in my head as a swing trader. I'm like, okay, I know from 1420 it has potential up to 1550 and above, and from there it has potential up to $17. So we broke 1420. Now you guys can see we've rallied up to 1520. We pulled back down, retested 1420 as a new support, bounced on that 50 SMA yesterday to solidify 1420 as a new support, and we started ripping up yesterday heading into today. So for me, guys, I ended up picking up a little bit of Upwork here, UPWK at $15 per share. It was earlier in the day. If you guys take a look, excuse me, on this intraday chart, we popped up to 1510, pulled down 1486, and this is when I ended up picking up some shares after the pull down again at about $15. And this is one that I see potential in, again, up to about 1550. And if we pull back a bit, let's say to this yearly chart, you can see from 1550, 1570, the next gap above that is going to be 17 to about 1750. So that's kind of the ultimate target that I have here on Upwork. I'd probably start selling a little bit at 1570, and then if it breaks out of that to really start filling the gap up, 1650, that's where I might sell even more, or maybe add a little bit more with a sell target at 1750 at that point. But overall, I'm bullish on this stock. They actually just acquired Rimito. This is kind of why it went up today. At the end of the day, at least that's kind of what I conclude here. I mean, you guys can see they hired Rimito. Actually, wait a second. No. Oh my God, I completely mixed up my notes. That is not Upwork. That was Slack. Erase that off your heads, guys. Erase that from your heads. I was looking at the notes for a second, and by the way, my phone screen's cracked, which is why, I probably mixed up the letters because I can't really see on my notes tab. I gotta scroll down a little bit. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a second. But Upwork today, they did not acquire Rimito. That is Slack Technology. We'll talk about that in a second. Either way, I believe that they have a lot of potential, again, from 1550 up to the 17s. And that's kind of what I'm waiting for at this point. And I feel comfortable adding money again in the 15 level, which is why I ended up buying into them today. And another one is ULTA, ticker symbol ULTA. This is one that I'm still holding. I didn't add any more to it, but I'm holding on to it as a swing position. It's kind of, hanging for dear life at this point, quite honestly, guys, at around 200 to 202. And the way that we're getting rejected by that 180 SMA, we're dumping under the 50 SMA now as well. It's not looking too good for the bulls, but I'm still being patient, and I'm still sticking this one out, because ultimately I think it can get back to 220, 230, and even into the 240s, guys. And like I always say, patience is key. You can't always get in and out of a stock whenever, or not whenever you want. You can get out whenever you want, but the time period of your trade, it's not going to be exactly what you want it to be, exactly according to your plan, right? So sometimes things don't go as planned, and sometimes you have to be a bit more patient than other times. So in this case, I have to be very patient with ULTA, still holding on to it. Again, I'm in at 205 roughly, sell target at about 220 to 230, and my GDX calls did very good today. GDX, gold, you guys know I'm bullish on gold and GDX, and GDX, by the way, is a gold miners ETF for those of you guys that don't know. And I picked up these calls a couple weeks ago. I don't remember exactly when, but back when, GDX was down to like 34, 35 level, something like that, I picked up the September 18th, 2020 $40 call options. We talked about them yesterday, and with today's rally of about 3.26% in GDX, those calls were up. Let me check my Webull app here very quickly. Those calls were up 30%. 30%, guys. They were up 52 cents, up 30%. They're now worth $2.42. So Webull is where I do my options trading, by the way, and I'll link a Webull options video down below in the description box if you guys want to see how that platform works. And don't forget to get your 2 free stocks, by the way, valued up to $1,400 down there in the description as well. But that's where I do all my options trading, and GDX has just been on fire. So at this point, I'm going to hold on to these options. That's the beauty of options, right? If you have an expiration date that's a couple months out, like this one, September, and you're already at your strike price pretty much, $40 being my strike price, we're about $1 away from there. I could hold on because I have time on my side. And, if I get to, GDX to $41, $42, $43, those options are just going to keep getting better, more expensive, and as they get more expensive, I'm getting more profit from it, right? As the premium goes up, as we're above the strike price, every dollar we go up, we go higher, and that's kind of how it works at the end of the day. And that's what I'm doing, right? That's what I'm doing. I have those call options here on GDX, and I'm in Workhorse. Also, WKHS. Did not do much with this position today. Wasn't really paying attention to this stock that much either. But I got in at $17.90 initially. Yesterday I got in, let me check my notes, at $15.25. And my average cost is around $16.40. And I'm up about 20 cents on my position. Nothing too crazy. I'm just holding on to this one. And one thing that I like about Workhorse, guys, at this point in time, notice how we're still holding, we held 14.50, which is good, and we're still holding 16 to about 16.30, which was a resistance yesterday. We held that a couple days ago back in the end of June as a support. So the fact that we held that as a support today is good, and notice how earlier in the day we rallied up to 18.10. So looking back, I probably should have locked in that profit. That would have been a nice profit to lock in, but I'm looking more at $20 as my sell target here on Workhorse. So I still ended up, so I pretty much just ended up holding. Looking back, hindsight, which is always 20/20, guys. You can't look back and be bummed at your trade. But looking back, I probably should have locked in profits and then rebought at the close of the market. But you can't win all the time, guys, and that's just me being honest here, as I always am. So let me know down below in the comments, what are your thoughts on those trades, what I'm personally doing. Let me know what you guys are doing. I always love knowing what you guys are doing, so don't be shy. Let me know in the comments, and let's get into these 7 stocks now. So the first one, which I kind of gave it away with my little mistake 3 minutes ago, was Work, guys, Slack Technology. And for some reason, guys, it's I always get these two confused. Work, Upwork, Slack Technologies, the ticker symbols are kind of similar, so that's why I confused them there for a second, along with my phone being cracked. Again, like I said, which I do have to get a new phone here. I have the iPhone 8 Plus. It's been 2-3 years since I've gotten a new phone, but that's a different story, right? So the first one here is Work, Slack Technology, and like I said earlier, they acquired Remodo. a software company that offers searchable directories, and I'll be the first to tell you, I don't know much about Rimido, and I'm not going to act like I do, but that ended up shooting the stock. I'm assuming this is a good acquisition. I have to look deeper into it, but the stock loved it. Investors loved it. Traders loved it. Work was up 8.7%, up $2.76 at this point, and that ended up solidifying 31.50 as a support. You guys can see that. That was a support back in the middle of June. We ended up railing through $33, big resistance stemming back from the middle of May. May 15th, big resistance there. The middle of June, end of June. End of June as well. $33 resistance. And we broke $34 big resistance, and we ended up holding that as a support. So this this acquisition, this could end up being what work needs to make this W pattern. I mean, do you guys see what I'm talking about? It could be a perfect W. If we end up starting to rally back up, 35, 36, 37, take a look at what I just drew. It would make there goes another slip up. Oh my goodness, guys, today's funky. It would be a W if we ended up going up to $40. Will it do that? I'm not sure. It might. We might see some pull downs in and out, until it gets up to there. But it's worth looking at, especially, again, because we broke $34. Now, the critical thing is, do we hold $34 and start to get to $35? If we do, that is where I'm looking to initiate a position. So I'm watching work here, Slack Technologies, and another one that just ended up buying out a competitor is Uber, ticker symbol UBER. They ended up buying Postmates for, I believe, $2.6 or $2.7 billion. And that kind of jolted the stock back to life. Uber needed an electric shock. I mean, this thing has been dead for, about a month. I mean, it went from $40 back in the middle of, beginning actually of June, all the way down to the end of June. It dropped down to $28. So it lost $10 per share. And that's when we started to get, I think we got the rumor first that they were going to buy Postmates. That shot up Uber. You guys can see it. That might have been on this day. And then when it came out as official, we got another jolt. And actually, no, I think this is when it did come out as official. We got that pop. And before that, we got the rumor and it went up either way. So at this point, this could be, again, the jolt that Uber needs. And a big resistance coming up where I'd be comfortable buying is $34.50. If we break $34.50, big resistance from back in October, back in the beginning of March, back in the middle of May. If we take that level out, that is what Uber's going to need to get us back to $38. And I think a lot of buyers are going to start bidding the stock up at that point. And mind you, they're also reporting earnings coming up soon, so be careful. I mean, it's in a month, so I guess that's not really soon. But again, Q2 earnings are rolling in, and they'll be here right before you know it, guys. So be careful in terms of that. But either way, above 34 to 34.50, I'm liking Uber up to about $38. So another one here that we talked about yesterday is Colgate-Palmolive. Colgate-Palmolive broke up 52 cents today, up 0.7%. And I know this is not, the most attractive stock. It's not fun to watch this stock. It's kind of boring. But honestly, today's move was very bullish. And we talked about yesterday, and I'll mention it again today, 74 to 75 bucks has been a sticking point on the stock for years. I mean, for years, guys, this has been a sticking point. I mean, take a look at the 20-year chart. Even back in 2014, we were struggling at about $72. So 72 to about 75, 76 has been a big sticking point for Colgate-Palmolive. And it's squeezing into the top of this range now to the point where, if we start to test, 75, 76, we might start filling, I'm thinking up, the move I'm looking to make at least. It's not too crazy of a move, but it's from $75 maybe back up to, let's say, $78. You guys can see that was the previous all-time high, roughly $77.90. That could be a nice move from 74 up to about 75 up to about 78. That could be around 4% potential. And, I wouldn't be surprised if Colgate was able to take out those highs and finally get out of this squeezed range that it's been in since 2014. I mean, if this thing went up to $80 a share, would that shock some of you guys? I mean, I don't think I'd be shocked from that at all. So that's what I'm kind of watching here for Colgate-Palmolive. Another one is a video game stock, ticker symbol EA. This one, honestly, I've been watching ever since it broke 130. 130, big resistance from back in the beginning of 2018. And now, quite honestly, guys, I might be biased because I like video games. I like EA games or whatever. I don't play them a lot, but when I do enjoy them. And I understand how the business of these games work. I understand, especially with the new system comes out, I understand how things are going to work. I might be a little bit biased, but I think I'm very confident that EA can get up to the mid 140s, and maybe even take out those highs here over the next couple of months. I'm pretty confident in that. Now, does that mean you should go out and buy EA? Of course not, right? Always do your own due diligence. Always do your own research on everything. But I'm just letting you guys know what's going through my head, and I'm heavily considering buying a swing position here. I already own it in some long-term accounts. I might add more to it. We'll see. And the next one is Beyond Meat. Beyond Meat finally coming back to life a little bit. We saw a big pull down from 167 down to 125. Now we broke out of a big resistance at 137. We traded for the past couple of days, about 4 or 5 trading days, in the range between 137 and the resistance at 147. And now we close right under that resistance at about $145 today. So I'm thinking if we take out 146, this stock is going to run. It's going to be a big, quick runner because that is where, that's where the bulls are going to pile in. I'm telling you guys, people trade off technicals. It's how it works a lot of the time. It's not the only thing that people trade off of, but when these stocks break technical areas, a lot of bulls come in. I mean, a lot of bulls are going to come in, and again, that's just me speaking my opinion. I'm confident on that. And from 145, 146, if we pull back, let's say on this 90-day chart, you guys can see, actually, let's pull on this 4-hour chart. You guys can see there's nothing ahead above that. I mean, there are resistances, but we could be going back to $150, 160, and maybe even try and take out 167. And, let's pull up to this 1-year chart. Maybe this will give us a bit more information on where we could end up going to. I mean, a big resistance you guys can see is 157. So I'm thinking 147 to 157. That's the move that we're going to end up catching here on Beyond Meat. That's if we break 145, 146 tomorrow or Friday or maybe next week. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for. And another one here that I'm watching is NIO. This has been the hottest stock in the markets, one of them at least, and we finally got some profit taking today. This is some good old profit taking on a very overbought, not even overbought. I'm not going to say it's overvalued. It's in a bubble. I'm not going to come out and say that. But let's just say overheated. There's a difference there. It's a hot stock. It's gone from about $5 a month ago all the way to $15. So we're going to be seeing big pull downs with the stock moving that quick because people are taking profits along the way. So we got the big pop to $15 and we pulled down all the way to about $11, $12. We held that 50 SMA, this green line on this hourly chart, at a higher low. We ended up rallying into the close. So quite honestly, guys, what this is telling me is NIO's tuning up for another rally. NIO is getting ready to maybe take out $14, $15 again. And I didn't pick up any shares today. I'm looking to maybe do that tomorrow. But if we end up gapping up into the 13s tomorrow, oh my God, is it already in the 13s after hours here? Oh my goodness, it is. So if this continues, we get 1350 tomorrow, 1360, 1370. I'd be buying some shares tomorrow. For me, in my swing account, that's kind of what I'm planning on, as I do think momentum will continue there. So that is one that I think is just seeing some profit taking. Don't panic. Don't panic. At least I'm not panicking. I think there's a lot of potential for it to continue to go up here. Another one that's kind of been a dead stock, people have been saying, but I think it's just tuning up for a massive rally, is Virgin Galactic, ticker symbol SPCE. And I think the big rally is going to come. And I've been saying this. I sound like a broken record at this point. I think it's going to come when we break 1750. Notice how big consolidation at around $17. We need to take 17 out and take 1750 out, and from there we're going to be out of the overall downtrend here. I mean, we already are breaking out of this overall wedge over the past couple of weeks. We've been doing that, which is good, but again, 1750 has been a sticking point. $17, it needs to get out of there, and from there the next big resistance is going to be 1850. $19 is another big one, and I've been saying watch out above 19, guys. I think it can go from 19 to 21, 2150 pretty fast, and 2150 is another big resistance, and above that you can see the next big resistance is mid-20s. So watch for that move, guys, and like I said earlier in the video, patience is key. You have to be patient with a lot in the stock market. Many different positions don't always pan out in your time range that you're setting them for, especially swing trades, right? And WBA is another one to keep an eye out on. They're reporting earnings tomorrow. Nothing too crazy. They're Walgreens Boot Alliance, guys, and they're actually rallying pretty aggressively. I was going to say, when I was writing notes for this video, I was going to say we can see Walgreens gapped up to 44, pulled down today, held 42. So I was going to say, watch for that rally back up to 44. Again, the resistance back in the pre-market, but it seems like after market, it's already doing that. So I guess we have to scrap that trade. I guess what we have to wait for now is a breakout of 44. So if this thing takes 44 out, maybe we go out up to 45, 46. So watch Walgreens Boot Alliance tomorrow. And another one today, maybe not worth buying here because it is a bit overheated, kind of like NEO, although NEO did pull down. This one's due for a pull down. Is Alibaba, up 8.95%, might as well call it 9%, up $21 today, and I'm not too sure why. I'm sure there's some news that's pushing this thing up today. Either way, Ant Financial on report. Okay, Alibaba rallies on report of plans of Ant Financial IPO. I have to look deeper into that. But either way, BABA up 9% today. If we pull down, maybe test 240, 50 SMA on this hourly chart, that could be an entry point. But in the meantime, I'm watching it. I'm being patient, just waiting for a pull down for this. And as always, like I mentioned earlier, I'm watching the gold stocks. GLD is a gold ETF I like. This one tracks gold, the price of gold. And gold today, speaking of it, went to 1820, 1830 actually. It took out the high. So very, very bullish moves here on gold and a lot of the gold stocks, most if not all the gold stocks. So yeah. That's it for this video, guys. If you found value in it, as always, hit that like button for me. Consider subscribing to the channel. Let me know down below in the comments all your thoughts on the markets, individual stocks, where we're headed. I'd love to know your thoughts down below. And don't forget to claim your 2 free stocks from Webull, valued up to $1,400. All you have to do is deposit $100 into the account, and it takes 5 to 7 business days, and you get your 2 free stocks. And again, those are linked down below in the description box. I'll catch you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. As always, stay safe out there, guys. Peace out.